Adriano Celentano. He was born on January 6, 1938 in Milan, in the Greco district, in Via Cristoforo Gluck 14, where he spent the first years of his life. His parents, Leontino Celentano, 1890–1951, and Giuditta Juva, 1896–1973, were originally from Foggia and moved first to Piedmont and then to Lombardy to look for work. The younger brother of Rosa, 1917–2003, mother of Gino Santercole Alessandro, 1920–2009, father of Alessandra Celentano, and Maria, 1923–2012. He was called Adriano in memory of his third sister Adriana, who died of leukemia in 1934 at the age of 9. He left school early, after completing only elementary school, and began to do various jobs, including lastly, that of a watchmaker in a shop on Via Cesare Correnti. Celentano still works with watches in his free time. The love of music runs in the family. The uncles of the future singer-songwriter, on summer evenings, usually hang out on the sidewalks of Via Gluck playing the mandolin. Adriano, at 15, began to play the guitar. As a teenager he began to be interested in music, particularly rock and roll, like many other young Italians of the period, which he discovered in 1955, with the arrival in Italy of the film The Seed of Violence, whose soundtrack includes the song Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley, which pushed Celentano to decide he wanted to become a rock and roll singer. With 4 of his friends he formed a group, the Rock Boys, composed of the 3 Ratti brothers, Franco on guitar, Marco on bass, Giancarlo on drums, and Icio Cerruti, a Turin native who had recently moved to Milan with his family, on second guitar. With this lineup, after preparing some American rock and roll songs, to which Celentano, not knowing English, changed the words, the group debuted in 1956 at the Ancora, a club in Milan, and then quickly moved on to the much better-known Santa Tecla Club. They continued to perform in other theaters in the Milanese hinterland. In an interview in 1959 Celentano recalled, "I started with imitations. At the time rock and roll was a novelty, and if someone sang it they had success even if they sang it badly. I imitated Bill Haley to joke with friends, in a dance hall on Viale Zara. I had the attitude, but for the rest I was all square. But in the meantime the word was spreading that I sang rock and roll." At the end of 1956 the group met a rock and roll band from Rome at the Teatro Smeraldo in Milan, a group of brothers led by Antonio Ciacci, the future Little Tony, with Alberto on bass and Enrico on guitar. The latter immediately stood out for his technical musical skills. Years later Celentano would meet Ciacci again, who had become Little Tony in the meantime, with whom he would share second place at the 1961 Sanremo Festival with 24,000 kisses. In the meantime the pianist Enzo Giannacci, from the Rocky Mountains, the group that accompanied Tony Dallara, joined the Rock Boys. He was introduced to Celentano by Pino Sacchetti, a saxophonist friend of Giannacci, and then joined the group. Luigi Tenco on sax was also among the Rock Boys, and Giorgio Gaber also performed, playing in Celentano's group, but at that time he was a guitarist for Gigio Agasti and only later joined the Rock Boys. In 1957 Celentano met Mickey Del Prete, who over the years became one of his most valuable collaborators, as well as the author of some song lyrics. Success came with the song Il tuo bacio e come on rock, lyrics by Piero Vivarelli and Lucio Fulci, music by Adriano Celentano and Ezio Leone, who also took care of the arrangement. With this song on July 13, 1959 Celentano won the Adriatic Song Festival in Ancona. The young man became a national sensation. His face of a tame gorilla entered forcefully into bars and living rooms throughout the peninsula. His surname was already familiar. Adriano began to receive 500 letters a day, which then increased. At the end of 1959, Federico Fellini called him to play himself in La Dolce Vita. The B-side of the album, I Ragazzi del Jukebox, is also the title of the film of the same year, in which Celentano takes part. In the same year, the first collaboration between Celentano and Mina takes place, who recorded a 45 RPM with the song Vorrei Sapere Perché, a rock and roll written for her by Celentano and Leone, with lyrics by Piero Vivarelli and Lucio Fulci. In the 60s, I Ribelli was born, other successes and military service. In early 1960 he appeared in Federico Fellini's film La Dolce Vita, shot between the spring and summer of 1959, playing himself while singing one of his songs in a Roman club. Also in 1960 came the great success of the 45 RPM Impossibile per Te, which, despite not going higher than third place as a maximum position, remained in the charts for 6 months. On November 30th, Furor, his second album, was released, which contained 2 unreleased songs that were not printed on 45 RPM, until the artist left Jolly, Serafino Campanero, also known for his interpretation of Mina, and Hey Stella, also recorded by Du Corsari. A few weeks after the release of the album, Celentano had to leave for military service and completed the CAR in Casale Monferrato, after which he was sent to Turin, where among his fellow soldiers there was a young keyboard player, Detto Mariano, who he would involve in his musical activity, once his military service was over. In February 1961 he took part in the Sanremo Festival, but he was still in the military and a special dispensation was signed for him by the Minister of Defense, Giulio Andreotti. At the festival, together with Little Tony, he presented 24 Mila Baci, written by Pietro Vivarelli and Lucio Fulci to music by Ezio Leone and Celentano. Here Adriano scandalized the audience by turning his back on them, and only turning around after the orchestra's change of tempo, but his 24 Mila Baci came in second, despite being first in the charts for 5 weeks and selling 500,000 copies in the following weeks. His film career continued as a director with the film Super Rapina a Milano in 1964, in which many members of his entourage, known as the Clan, also acted. He then took part in other productions as an actor, mainly musical films. In 1969 he played the lead in the film Serafino by Pietro Germi. The film tells the story of a country boy and his problems with an inheritance and with adjusting to modernity. Even during the Clan period, the successes continued. In 1962 he won the Cantagiaro with Stai Lontana da Me, followed by the recording of Pregaro, Italian version of Stand By Me by Ben E. King, but strangely signed by Gianco and Don Bacchi, which reached first position for 5 weeks. It was his first text to deal with religious themes, which soon became a habit. In 1966, after 5 years, Celentano decided to return to the Sanremo Festival. The song Illinois Ragazzo della Via Gluck, presented in a duet with the trio del Clan, composed of Pilati, Cerruti and Santercole, ranked in the last places, failing to qualify for the final evening. However, it had an important sales success, becoming, together with Azzurro, one of his best-known songs. Il Ragazzo della Via Gluck aroused the interest of Pier Paolo Pasolini, who planned to make a film from the story of the song with Celentano as the protagonist, to develop the aspect of urban civilization that was destroying peasant culture, but the project did not come to fruition. The 70s saw Adriano almost constantly in the charts with songs such as Viola, Sotto la Foglai, the last song with which he participated in the Sanremo Festival in 1971, and Air Più, written by Carlo Rusticelli. 1972 was the year of a new ecological success, An albero di 30 piani, in which Celentano attacked building speculation and pollution, taking it out in particular, in the final part of the song, on the Pirelli skyscraper in Milan, which has, in fact, 30 floors, translated into Spanish with the title Un árbol de 30 pisos. On the back there is Ready Teddy. It was also very successful on the Iberian and Latin American markets. In 1973 he announced his participation in the Sanremo Festival, with the song L'unica chance, but at the last moment he developed gastritis and withdrew with a telegram that he sent to the organizers, adding that perhaps the way some popular singers excluded from the competition had been treated gave him gastritis, and he concluded by apologizing if this festival will be paler than usual due to his absence. The song was less successful than others, unlike the 45 RPM of 1974, Bellissima. He returned to social issues in 1976 with Svalutation, an analysis of the Italian situation of the time. These were the years of inflation and the birth of terrorism. After other successes, T. Avro in 1978 and Soli in 1979, On the occasion of the release of the live album, he went on a stadium tour again. At that point, Celentano was also launched as an actor but did not take part in a large number of productions, and until 1978 he would shoot a maximum of 2 films a year, in some of them not having the leading role. During this period he worked with established directors such as Dario Argento, in The 5 Days, or Alberto Lattuada, in White, Red and actors such as Anthony Quinn, in Bluff History of Scams and Swindlers, confirming his growing ability as an actor. In 1974 Celentano wrote the screenplay, starred in and produced Yuppie Doo. Also in this case the song that takes its title from the film, written by Celentano alone, was a success. His activity as an actor continued until 1978 when he directed his third film Jeppo il Fall, a musical in which he played a successful singer who, despite not knowing English, has a dream to meet Barbra Streisand. But above all, he began his fruitful collaboration in the field of comedy with the director couple Castellano and Pippolo by shooting Zio Adolfo aka Führer, which achieved good commercial success. With the same directors he also shot Monte di Velluto, obtaining a very high public success. In 1980 he acted in the second episode of the film Qua la Mano and in La Locandiera by Paolo Cavara alongside his wife. In 1981 he resumed his collaboration with Castellano and Pippolo by shooting Asso with Edwidge Fenech and Innamorato Pazzo, again with Muti, with whom it was said he had a brief relationship, with excellent box office receipts. In 1982 he shot Grand Hotel Excelsior again by Castellano and Pippolo, and in 1983 Segni Particolari, Beautiful, a box office hit. Also in 1982 Celentano shot the film Bingo Bongo with Pasquale Festa Campanile and later again with Sergio Corbucci Sing Sing, where he was the protagonist of the second episode. In 1985 it was the turn of Louis A. Meglio Dimi by Enrico Oldoini, in which he starred again alongside Renato Pozzetto and which would prove to be his last great commercial success. He continued to record regularly despite being increasingly busy with the cinema with successful films such as Bingo Bongo, Illinois Bispetico Dalmato, Asso. He recorded 2 albums of covers, I Mi Americani and I Mi Americani 2, in which he reproposed American songs in Italian versions. The 2 albums were quite successful with around 500,000 copies sold each.
1985 war sie hier auf Hayes Mos Discusit Film Enties las Direction. John Louis. Ma un giorno nel pasa arrivato iod lunedì.
Celentano made his film spending very high amounts, around 20 billion lire, and the film turned out to be a near failure at the Italian box office. It would gross around 7 billion lire. After Joan Louis, Celentano would make a few more films due to contractual obligations such as Il Berbero, which was quite successful. He will return to the theaters only in 1992 to star in the film Jackpot. On television, sensing the strong media pressure that was developing around his image, now consolidated abroad, he partly follows Mina's choice and begins to thin out his appearances, and after a period of absence, he returns to TV as a guest in 1983 on Domenica In with his wife. In 1991 he returns with an album entitled Il Re degli Ignoranti together with a book of the same name. The album is a great success with about 500,000 copies sold. To promote the work, he hosts the prime-time show Adriano Celentano A Notte Rock on November 5th, live on Rai 1. In 1992 he is on TV with Svalutation, his first show as the protagonist. In 1998, while preparing his return to television, he released an album with Mina, which was a success with 1,600,000 copies sold. This year marked the beginning of a collaboration, which continues today, with Andrea Scrosati and Umberto Chiaramonti in the communication of the Clan and Celentano. The following year with Mogol Johnny Bella and with the participation of Fio Zanotti, he released the equally successful Io Non So Parlar d'Amore, over 2 million copies, which is considered by some to be the album of his artistic rebirth. The album contains songs such as Gelosia, L'Emozione Non Ha Voci, L'Arcobaleno written by Mogol with music by Johnny Bella and dedicated to Lucio Battisti, and Senza Amore by the young Carlo Mazzoni, which soon become real hits and carry this album to the top of the Italian hit parade for a long time. In 2000 he released the album Esco di Rado e Parlo Ancora Meno, another great success, with songs written by Ivano Fossati and Celentano himself. In 2002 he released the album Per Semper, the third consecutive album with the authors Mogol and Bella, and which will sell almost 1 million copies. On March 6, 2004, Celentano is a guest at Tony Reni's Sanremo Festival, where he performs a monologue on the mix between politics and television. In 2004, he released the new album C'è Sempre un Motivo, again with songs by Mogol and Johnny Bella, and with an unreleased song by Fabrizio De André and a duet in Creole with Cesaria Evora, a leading exponent of Cape Verdean music who reproposes Il Ragazzo della via Gluck with typically Cape Verdean lyrics and arrangements. He returned to hosting a television program on October 20, 2005, when Rock Politic debuted on Rai 1. As usual, he demanded carte blanche from Rai on the lyrics and the entire project, and after various vicissitudes and legal interventions, the program started after the provisional self-suspension of the network director Fabrizio Del Nos. The show was a great success in terms of audience ratings, with an average of 46% in the 4 episodes. In 2006, the University of Foggia decided to award him an honorary degree in literature and philosophy, which was kindly declined with the motivation that, with the awarding of such a title, he would be forced to improve, and I do not want to take myself too seriously. I am and will always be the king of the ignorant. On November 26, 2007, on Rai 1, Celentano returned live with a prime-time show entitled My Sister Situation Is Not Good, where by sister he means planet Earth. Adriano Celentano returned live after 18 years at the Verona Arena with 2 concert events, on the 8th and the 9th of October 2012. The event is called Rock Economy and was broadcast live on the Mediaset network Canale 5. Celentano initially made the proposal to his historic company, Rai, but they refused, saying they did not want to cover the production costs for the live broadcast, also refusing the singer's proposal not to ask the company for money for his 2 performances at the Verona Arena. The show event had a boom in ratings. In March 2015, rumors began to circulate about a new artistic collaboration between Celentano and Mina, especially after the greeting message sent by Celentano, via his blog, to Mina for her 75th birthday, in which Adriano wrote, "And now it's exactly what you'll have to discover." The official release date is November 11, 2016, with the title La Migliore. The album is being promoted with the first single from October 21, Amami, and television preview on December 12, 2016, with a special broadcast on Rai 1. On November 26, 2021, on the occasion of almost 25 years of collaboration together, he returns once again to duet with Mina in the unreleased Niente è Morto, and which will also close their circle of artistic life that has made the history of Italian music. The Springy Guy's love life was quite eventful. In 1958, in a perfume shop in Milan, Celentano met Milena Cantu, who worked there as a sales assistant, with whom he began a relationship. She would assist Adriano in the 1961 foundation of Clan Celentano, the record company owned by the singer and for which Cantu recorded some songs starting in 1964. On the set of Uno Strano Tipo in 1963, Celentano met Claudia Mori, a little-known actress at the time. Although he was still engaged to Cantu, he married Mori in great secrecy on July 14, 1964 in the Church of San Francesco in Grosseto, only later breaking off the relationship with Cantu. The marriage produced 3 children, Rosita, 1965, Giacomo, 1966, and Rosalinda, 1968. Celentano is also the biological uncle of Gino Santarcol, as well as of the dancer, choreographer and dance teacher Alessandra Celentano, daughter of his brother Alessandro. Although he had a lot of success, and some small problems, the most difficult drama for Adriano Celentano to bear was the one concerning his son Giacomo and his illness. Giacomo Celentano went through a really difficult time in his life. He had breathing difficulties, the inability to sing, and felt a great sense of loneliness, so much so that in that period his family could not even understand him. Fortunately, his faith in God and his willpower allowed Giacomo Celentano to get up and go back to living, leaving that dark period behind. At the beginning of the 80s, the marriage between Celentano and Mori went through a period of crisis. For a few years the two lived apart, and it is from this period that the rumor of an alleged relationship with Ornella Muti, with whom Celentano had filmed Il Bisbetico Dalmato and Innamorato Pazzo, was rumored. In July 2014, Muti confirmed her relationship with Celentano. Mori and Celentano continued to live apart until 1985, when the artist himself wanted his wife in the cast of his film John Louis Ma un giorno nel paese arrivato io di lunedì. During the production of the film, the crisis ended definitively. Mori, years later, revealed that she had never considered divorce during the crisis. Since 1991, Claudia Mori has been the CEO of the family record company, Clan Celentano SRL.
Among her record successes, non succederà pi, la coppia più bella del mondo, duet with her husband. Which reached #1 in the charts for 6 weeks, Buonasera Dottore, Il Principe, chiudi la porta.
Mori will participate in numerous films by her husband, and from 1994 she will dedicate herself completely to the administration of the clan, succeeding Adriano's brother, Alessandro Celentano. In 2004, the singer-songwriter became a grandfather for the first time, with the birth of Samuel Celentano, son of Giacomo and his wife Katia. From the beginning of his career to today, Celentano has sold approximately 150 million copies of his albums, making him the Italian singer with the most records sold after Mina. Celentano is among the most imitated Italian artists by other singers such as Johnny Morandi at the beginning of his career and Toto Cutugno, who throughout his career essentially presented himself as a neo-melodic Celentano, or by comic actors who parodied his style such as Teo Teocoli, who took up his movements, gestures and dialectics, caricaturing him in various broadcasts. Having reached the conclusion, we can only wish long life to the Super Molleggiato d'Italia.